สบายดีเจียวรา Good afternoon everyone. This video is made for the foreigner and the Lao children who could not understand Lao. We would like you to have a benefit and briefly understand about Lao classical music instrument of ancient Lao or Kingdom of Lao Lan Sang to know a little bit about our ancient Lao playing instrument called can or can Lao in New Zealand. It has been observed that in Laos we have Lao can in so many provinces of Lao. For example, in Vientiane, Simuang Buddhist Temple, and at the Savannakhet province at the main street or Kaison Phomvihan city. Also, we have can two places in one province called Can Garden in the middle of Sarawak province and Thampa Garden or cave. Also, we have a couple of can at Mahanathi Sithandon or Sithandon province of Champasak. At the south of Laos, we have the can for souvenir of our country as well. Also in Thailand, the Thai Isan people who used to be Lao citizen in the past, they have also a can at Paksong city of Nakhon Ratchasima or Korat province of Thailand. I observe that there is no Lao instrument classical music of Lao or can construction in any other country, even large or small country in the world. For example, in USA, Canada, England, France and Australia, even Japan, where we have the Lao ethnicity living in because of the war in Laos at present. It has been observed that there is no Lao construction in any abroad country for the exception of New Zealand. New Zealand a small country, but we have Lao musical ancient instrument to show our culture. Like Lao proverb said, where is a Lao, there is a can. Where is a strikilai, there is a Lao. Where is a pickle fish, there is a Lao living around the world. Three kinds of things are symbol of Lao. Particular can musical instrument is a spiritual of all Lao in anywhere around the world. That is why I, มหาทองยัน แก้วกทวงศ์ that's my name, and my wife ทองเซียน แก้วกทวงศ์ that's her name. We both decided to build up the cairn at Lao Buddhist Temple in Otago in New Zealand for preserve our national musical instrument cairn to show the foreigner and to our own children, the Lao children who was born in foreign country like in New Zealand and some other country around the world to know about your mother tongue musical instrument cairn like the Lao people know this musical instrument very well like they know themselves. You probably may not visit Lao. You probably may not know at all about Lao musical instrument called Lao if you never visit Laos. This is for foreigner. For the Lao children, if your parent did not tell you, if you did not visit Lao, you probably will not know anything about your mother tongue musical instrument Laos. That's the main issue. We, my wife and I, decided to construct the cairn at Lao Temple in Auckland City of New Zealand for souvenir of Lao children and for respect our national musical instrument of Lao in the future. To remain this, we ask permission to build this musical instrument from the Lao Temple Association. At the meeting on that year, that's in 2017, some of them do not like the idea of building cairn at Lao Temple. The reason is instrument, playing musical instrument and Buddhist temple is a different issue. Therefore, the idea of not to have the cairn at the temple is about the Buddhist religion. Second issue was raised at the committee in 2017 about the cairn should be built outside the temple. For example, like along the beach, any other public area to separate cairn from the temple. This is the second group ideas. The answer for that is we do not have a public area to build up our cairn. This is not our country, it's not Laos, it's in New Zealand. It may against the public of New Zealand. We can only build this cairn in our own land, our own section, like our embassy in another country. Temple is situated Buddhists in New Zealand at Auckland, our own land, our own property. Therefore, it was explained well at the meeting dossier. Therefore, the second group finally agree with us to build up the can. Where to build up the can and how big, how long the can, we have a prepare and report to the meeting. And we have built the can exactly like what we agree at the meeting. For example, the can is made of piece of iron tooth. The length is 7 meters. We bury under the ground for 1 meter. At the state, small state above the ground is 30 centimeter, and the top from the ground to the top of the can, or the height of the can from the ground is 6 meter. Under the ground is 1 meter. This is a permanent construction of can as a permanent or the permanent issue in Lao property at the Lao temple itself. This can is a plan to build by the builder like myself and my wife since 2017, the end of the years. On that time, the Lao government submit the application for Lao to be the World Heritage of Lao to United Nations or UNESCO organization in New York. They nominate the committee member to travel to Laos to observe and investigate the background, the origin of Lao with the Lao official Lao people even in the city or in the village to know more and detail of Lao can, ancient musical instrument. They also observe can also is played by the northern part of Cambodia and northwestern part called Isan of Thailand as the same as Lao. But however, from their observation and discovery, this organization found that the real original of can musical instrument was originally made in Laos or Lao Lan Sang or Kingdom of Lao at that time. Can was built originally in Laos first since the ancient time. There is no evidence mention exactly what year or what king of Royal of Laos who decided to have Lao as a national playing corn instrument of Laos. Know exactly history about this. Just only the Lao people or foreigner have heard that Khan was built in Lao since ancient time, thousand years ago, built up by the Lao forest hunter. The brief history is there was one forest hunter who came to the forest and wait quietly inside the forest. That place there are a lot of a small bamboo and big or small kind of tree where the animal come to have a food or drink the water nearby. The forest animal hunter many nights he had to sleep inside the jungle or forest to observe and hunt the animal. While he was in the jungle, he normally hear the beautiful voice or the noise of the bird. The bird sing the song from the top of the bamboo tree very nicely. He listened very carefully and he felt he liked that kind of noise. He came back to the village and told all the villager that he observed the bird singing nicely song. And he came back to the forest again many times and he slept in the jungle many times as well. And he listened to the bird singing on the top of the bamboo tree several times or sometimes from another top of big tree at the deep forest. He liked the voice of the bird song day by day badly. And finally he tried to make a lot of things to make the similarly noise of such bird. For example, he picked up the leaf of tree, blow inside, it make the noise as well, but not as beautiful as a great noise of the bird. He cut the bamboo, make the hole, and blow inside the hole. It make the noise as well, but not as nice as the noise or the voice of the bird. He used the piece of tree, dry or green, put it together, it make the noise, but not as beautiful noise as the noise of the bird. He picked up a piece of stone in the forest and put it together slowly or hardly. It make the noise as well, but as the same, not make as beautiful noise as the voice of the bird. He was thinking many times, day by day, month by month, and year by year pass. He changed his method of making can many times from many items. And finally, he cut the small bamboo tree, and when it was green, he made the noise not beautiful. He dry it up to it's completely dry. He make the hole on small bamboo tree and he heard the noise coming out, but not as nice as the noise of the bird. He tried to put something inside the small hole made by another piece of bamboo, not very nice noise, and he chained to the silver or copper, very thin, put inside. He make a different noise and quite nice noise, but not exactly like the noise of the bird. He successful made it. He play in a village. Many villagers at his village observed that and learned that from him. At the farm, he was a farmer, and at the forest, he was an animal hunter. He play such can made up by him many times. He enjoy listen to the noise of that can badly. Many villager even within his own village or nearby village came to observe. He play the can instrument, and they also like the noise of his can very much. And the news come to the city. The king of the city or country at that time heard the people said he wanted to see, to listen, and to know the can more. He sent and the officer came to the village and invite such forest animal hunter to come to his palace with such musical instrument, and the king asked him to play the can. He play as he play at his village or the farm or the forest. The king liked the noise of the can very much. The king enjoy can very much. Therefore, he ordered him to train another officer to make the can and play the can. So he had done that. The can since that time was very popular, known all around the country. Many cities of Kingdom of Lao on that time started playing and making the noise for enjoyable classical in music. Since then, there was no name at that time. He tried to call the can himself. That's a small bamboo tree. Small bamboo tree. As original, the can made by small bamboo tree, still long. Finally, the king given the name as can, short, remember easily by the public. Therefore, since then, can was called can as we call today. Since then, talking about can, it became to know whole part of the country. The people play can with different method. We call in Lao like the wind blowing tree leaf or we call wind blow the banana leaf tree at the early morning before clear up, still dark. Another issue or method they call the female dog running on the beach. This is meaning of or pattern of the can playing by the player whole part of loud from north to south for every kind of festival to make the people happy to at the temple or outside the temple like at the village wedding or another kind of fest or festival. The people light the can day by day, month by month, and year by year, many years later. Therefore, can is accepted as spiritual of the Lao people anywhere in the country or outside the country. The Lao people like can very much. As that, the official of Lao, meaning the Lao government, submit the application to United Nations UNESCO organization to recognize Lao musical instrument as well as can. Before accepted can to be the world heritage of Lao, the member of UNESCO organization officers came to Lao to study the original of can or the background of can, how the can was made, who made the can, who write the can, any can was made in another country apart from Laos. They understood that northern part of Cambodia at the Lao border before such a place belonged to Laos. They used to play can as well, but not whole part of the country as Lao. Only some former Lao citizen of Cambodian present ethnic city or national or ethnic city. Also, can was a play or accepted whole part of northern part of Thai called Thai Isan. Thai Isan as well before a French regime in Laos or before Laos became colony to France government. That part of the world was invaded by Thai king. That part of the world belonged to Thai and became Thai since then. Therefore, the musical instrument is as the same as Lao. Play horn part of Isan. Every provinces play the can like Lao. But there was not original of can in Thailand. Can was made originally in Laos. UNESCO officer has learned, observed, and known all of this. Therefore, finally, the committee of UNESCO decided can is originally belong to Laos. or another word, they have registered for Lao official that Khen is the world heritage of Lao People Democratic Republics only, not belong to any other country. Apart from that, in South America continent, there is a musical instrument similarly to can made by bamboo as well, but short, very short, not as long as Lao can. Lao can, the length is start from 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter, depend on how big of can the can builder decide to make it. We have a start from can 3. Can 3 is a very small can with 3 couple of bamboo shoot, small bamboo shoot. The next we call can 7. Again, there are 7 couple of small bamboo shoot. We call can 8. Again, there are 8 couple of small musical instrument. The last can we call can 9. Can 9 consisted with 9 couple of small bamboo shoot together. Yeah, and they make the small horn, square horn, and put the little piece of silver or couple inside, and the can controlled by the main wood of can blower. We call in Lao Tao can. The player play by putting the wind from his mouth inside the can and make the nice noise, and his hand moving from one couple of the can horn to another horn, make it a different sound, different noise, depend on what kind of song the player wishes to make. I went to Laos from New Zealand. I am living in New Zealand since 1984. We was invited to the literature hall. There is a can as well of ex-Prime Minister of Laos called Kaisorn Phombihan. Kaisorn Phombihan, the ex-Prime Minister or first Prime Minister of Laos of socialist regime, he liked the can very much himself. On those times when he was young, he announced the Lao radio news from Hanoi, the capital of North Vietnam on that time. Before he started his Lao program from Vietnam or Hanoi, he started from the opening the noise of the can first, then he start the noise. If any of you had a chance to visit Laos, to visit Vientiane, to visit the literature hall, you will see the big photograph of such Prime Minister Kaisorn Phombihan play the can, and in the inside this literature hall, not outside. I have seen myself. You are welcome to watch sometime when you have time to visit Laos or Vientiane anyway. Even the ex-Lao who brought to middle part of Thailand since Anuvong King or fell down of last king of Vientiane called Anuvong King. He was arrested by King Chao Noi of Siang Khong province and hand over him to the Thai authority. They took him to Bangkok, the capital of Thai, at the second period of Thailand king. And finally, King of Laos, Anuvong, was passed away in Bangkok, Thailand afterward. This kind of people I describe about that's ex-Lao people in the middle part of Thailand, many provinces such as Suphan province, Saraburi province, Ang Thong province, Nakhon Pathom province, Ratchaburi province, and many provinces of the middle part of Thailand. The Thai official brought Lao people from Vientiane to stay permanently, not allowed to go back home Vientiane since then, and they live in middle part of Thailand in many provinces of Thailand at the middle part since then and cannot return Lao. They brought along with them the Laotian ancient art, method of cooking, method of making national clothes, and method of Lao musical instrument called can. They play can all among Lao people from Vientiane. Majority the Lao people in the middle part of Thailand were from Vientiane, the capital of Laos on that time, and the Thai government decided to build to put fire on Vientiane 2 occasions. I and my wife visited lately in 2019 to ex-Lao people who still had the culture, mode of eating, drinking, or playing musical instruments are exactly the Lao people playing now. Of course, they are Lao brought to Thailand by Thai authority on those time when we lost the war to Thailand. At my visit to a group of Lao people at Donka village, Suphan province, they told me all brief detail which they learn or they have been told by their parents, like the musical instrument can. They still playing can over there, and they have the folk song for their own called Lao Vieng folk song. I asked them to sing the folk song for me for the Lao Vieng proper name or Laovian given this name by our ancestor in Lao. They play and they play the can and the sock singer sing the Lao Sian folk song to me. I learned from them. Therefore, after come back to New Zealand, I practice to sing the Lao folk song of the Laovian method. Since then, I am okay now. I play the folk song many occasions to the Lao and Thai Isan group together many festival, many program, many places, particularly in Auckland, New Zealand. The reason I made the video in English version because I would like to remain the Laotian can as national musical instrument of Lao to be known by the foreigners at overseas or to be known by the use of Lao ethnicity, the use of Lao in every country around the world, to know something little bit about their own national ancient musical instrument of Lao. In the future, to remain our Laotian can to be in this world permanently forever. We, the elderly person, for example, like myself, I am now 73 years of age. I was born in 1949 in Vientiane, Laos. I expect I will be in this world not many years, maybe 20 years, luckily, but I wish to be up to 100 years, like the president of Lao Buddhist relationship in Lao nominated or started by him called มหาคัมตัน from ประเทศลาว He had a very good age of 100 years before he passed away, but his health was okay, never been sick. He still can walk to the temple on regular basis. He is well known by government, well known by on Lao people. He came from the southern part of Lao. He spent 10 years at the forest at the Siang Kuang province with the Pathelao soldier. He came to Vientiane after the Pathelao won the negotiation in Vientiane. The conference in 1972-73, and the communist took over Laos and came to the Vientiane with มหาคัมตัน and President Suparnawong Kaisorn and committee member of Pathelao. In 1975, they occupied all part of Lao and by the Pathelao. or left side or the communist side of Laos. We Laos finished the monarchy, the king, in that year, 1975. Therefore, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the government of Laos, Socialism government of Laos or Communist of Laos. After they invaded Laos, completely whole part of the country, lot of people was not recognize their regime. They fled river to be refugee in many places, many refugee camps from north to south at northern part of Thailand called Isan, including the one who is speaking with you now, was a member of Lao refugee at Napo Lao refugee camp with my family, my nephew and father as well. We were at the refugee camp at Napo Lao refugee camp for 4 years. I myself escaped from Laos to Thailand across the Mekong River since 1981. We wait at the Puch camp on that time called Puch camp, not refugee camp. Puch camp, it means that the United Nations UNHCR High Commission United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees or UNHCR propaganda every day and invite the people, allow people to leave the detention camp, invite them to go back Laos, saying to us that no refugee program, no resettlement in the third country anymore. The refugee who escaped to Thailand from Laos from 1975 to 1980, they were recognized as refugees by UNHCR or United Nations. They officially allow for resettlement, new resettlement in any third country. Therefore, a lot of Lao people from whole part of Laos escaped to Thailand and been recognized by United Nations. They were sent to the third country for resettlement. For example, the big number in USA, in Canada, France, England, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and other countries by a small number, including Argentina in South America continent as well. Therefore, the Lao people in everywhere, they recognize the Lao musical ancient instrument called can. They recognize can, make and playing can in every country around the world. So far, I fully understood. Particularly, I myself used to work for New Zealand government, work for Immigration New Zealand Services for altogether 29 years, 10 months, and 17 days from 21st of March 1985 right up to 5th of April 2014. That's the total period of time I used to work for immigration of New Zealand government at the refugee quota branch. During 29 years, I was officially sent to interview refugees under United Nations High Commissioner or UNHCR information provided and invited us to come and interview and brought them officially for resettlement in New Zealand by the budget from the New Zealand government. Every year, New Zealand government spend lot or large amount of budget for refugee program of New Zealand government. New Zealand government paid the airfare for the refugee coming to New Zealand and never request the refugee to pay back to the government. The government given the air passage ticket money fee for the refugee for completely, absolutely free, except one time the government want to learn USA refugee program. The government issue big lump sum of money to ICCI Interchurch Commission on Immigration for Refugee to use such money to buy a ticket for the refugee, and that organization, ICCI organization, asked the refugee to refund the ticket to the government any amount so far they can pay. Later on, such a program was stopped. The refugee had not enough money to pay. Some of them has paid back, some of them paid, some not in full, some of them never pay at all. It was officially stopped since then up to now. The New Zealand government still accept the refugee from overseas, any country around the world, from Europe, from Middle East, from Africa, and any other small big country around the world. I was sent to interview refugees since 1987. Before that, I was trained how to interview the refugee at the refugee branch since 1987, 85, 86, 2 years. Completely, I never been selected or sent by government to interview the refugee overseas. Since 1987, I was sent every year by year. I had a lot of experience or skill of interview many ethnic or nationality of the refugee coming to New Zealand. After I have full knowledge or good experience, I was nominated by the government many times to be the leader of team. Normally we went together 2 and sometimes 3, sometimes 4 immigration officer at the same time, depend on how big or large number of refugees who we have to interview. We process the application, resident application for them, issue the resident visa for them, and send the escort. Sometimes I was an escort sent by the government to escort the refugee from overseas refugee camp or from overseas airport, brought them here to New Zealand for resettlement permanently in New Zealand. A lot of them, or majority, became New Zealand citizenship after some time. Before, it took only 3 years before they can become New Zealand citizenship. Later on, or even now, they have to be in New Zealand for 2 years first before they can apply for permanent resident of New Zealand. Why? Before the government issue the resident visa for them before brought them into New Zealand. All the foreigner like refugee, they must be in New Zealand for completely 5 years now before they can apply for New Zealand citizenship and using New Zealand passport. Like any other New Zealand, they got the rights and they got the privilege like exactly New Zealand citizen who was New Zealand by citizenship or New Zealand by birth in New Zealand, the land of Maori up to now. I said the video is too long now. I have to stop my brief detail of video about Can now. Kakite ano thank you very much ขอบใจหลายๆเด้อสาวหนุ่มลาวที่ได้ฟังมวลวิดีโอนี้สบายดี